Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Where I Went Wrong. In this video, I'll be doing an edition of Where I Went Wrong, UFC Fight Night, Brunson versus Till. So this is probably the quickest I ever came out with one of these Where I Went Wrong videos. Like this video is coming off literally, I guess, in the same day with less than 24 hours. Well, that's usually the case, but real quick, probably within 4 hours of the card ending, maybe 4 to 5 hours, but definitely coming out pretty quickly, hot off the press, background noise and all. Like this video is coming straight to you where I went wrong. And it's not a case of where it's one of these videos where it's necessarily a card where I did well. It's definitely one of the worst cards. I think with this, the second or third card of the year where I went negative. I went 4 and 5 on this card, so not a good card at all. Nothing to brag about, nothing to be proud about, but I don't think it's a whole lot to really be hold my head low about with this card. And even in some of the losses, as a fight fan, I'm excited, and a fan of some of these fighters that won a card, I'm excited for what's to come. Like as a fight fan, I'm excited. As a predictor, my head down a little bit, but overall, it's like some good stuff to draw from the card, and some stuff you can't really draw too much from. But let's start running through it. Like we're a minute in, let's run through it. So in the first fight, Marc-Andre Baralt versus Dalcha Lungiabula or Lugambula in the light heavyweight division. Well, the middleweight division was not light, middleweight division. But yeah, in the middleweight division, this was like probably the fight where I should have known better. Like I even was leaning heavily to Baralt until like I started looking more into the fights and I started to reach. Anytime you reach, in most cases you're gonna pay for. Like this fight, I was heavily reaching for, and out of all the fights on the card, this is really the only fight where I necessarily feel like it was clear and obvious. You got a guy that's not the most technical striker in Dalcha Lungiabula, not the best cardio, mostly winging shots versus Marc-Andre Baralt, who's still not the most greatest striker or the greatest stat, but a cardio fighter versus a power fighter. And you can expect, and Baralt also never been stopped, at least in the UFC. So a tough guy with cardio versus a guy that doesn't have the most cardio, doesn't have the highest pace. And also Baralt has, solid enough grappling, good enough takedown defense. So it's not a case where Lungiabula can get these easy takedowns and be able to lay on him through the fight or be able to pressure him those 1 or 2 shots. You're going to really have to work or be at least consistent or be skilled enough to really work for a victory against Baralt, and he's always going to be in a hard fight for all 3 rounds. So I feel like it was pretty much a clear pick that Baralt should have been the winner in this one, and I just try to reach with this one, and that's a mistake I made with that fight. This is the biggest one I feel like on this card for me. You might see another one on this fight card or one of the predictions, but for me, this is one I feel like was the one I reached the most, and the one I could really feel like this is a big mistake I made, or a clear mistake I made with this prediction. Then the next fight, I had another loss in the second fight. I had in the featherweight division, I had Julian Erosa versus Charles Jourdain, or Jourdain. And I don't really feel like this is a case where, I feel so bad about a prediction. It's always going to feel bad when your predictions go wrong, but it's not a case where, I should have saw this coming. Like Julian Erosa, we don't see him as a bad grappler. You don't see him as a great grappler. And I feel like Jourdain has pretty solid submission defense and grappling defense. But I guess it's a case of mental lapse, and Erosa was pervy to it. Like, he probably really saw it within the fight. He saw a tendency mid-fight. It wasn't a case that he saw something necessarily in his camp. Probably something he works on and gets in his camp. But as far as in Jourdain, he just saw an opportunity from their scrambles in the fight and their wrestling exchanges in the fight. So he saw the opportunity and was able to capitalize and saw how he was coming up, catch that darts and tap him out. But overall, the fight was semi playing out how I envisioned it to play out. Like the shot that dropped Erosa in the second round was what I thought would eventually knock him out and catch him with in the third round, but it didn't materialize. Erosa was able to stay professional. He'd been there so many times, been looking good, or been in fights and got knocked out. He was able to I got knocked down. This is normal to me. Stay composed, stay calm, start mixing in, grabbing some more, and took advantage of opportunity and snapped on it. So it was a very good win from Rosa, but like I said, it's not a whole lot I can necessarily knock myself for. Good performance by Rosa, good IQ, good, just showing that veteran experience, showing that I've been here before. Real good performance from Rosa. I'm proud of him. Well, I'm not saying I'm proud, I don't know the man, but congrats to Rosa. I'm not saying that I don't have no hatred of Rosa. Jourdain looked pretty solid. Erosa looked solid. 2 solid guys winning there, and the better man on the night won, and it was Erosa. It just didn't materialize, but I feel like a solid prediction. It just played the other way out, but like I said, I can't say it was something super clear that was predictable necessarily. Maybe you trained with him, maybe you saw something deeper, but as far as on the broadest extent, it was nothing like necessarily so foreseeable about that Erosa win or something like this was a clear error leaning to Jourdain. And then the next fight we had Jack Shore versus Ludwig Shaolinion in the bantamweight division. And this fight pretty much went how I expected it went. Jack Shore just was better in every area and the better overall fighter. Well, really better overall fighter. You probably say pure wrestling, Shaolinion is the better wrestler, pure wrestling. But when you mix it all together, Jack Shore is the better wrestler, and he shut him out in the wrestling. I mean, not better wrestler, better fighter overall, and he shut him out in the wrestling, 2-zip. And if I look at just how I expected it to look, except matter of fact, I would give Shaolinion some props. His striking looked much cleaner than it did on the Ultimate Fighter, but not clean enough to even really put up an effort in this fight. I mean, a good competitive effort in this fight. But only thing I would say, I think a stoppage didn't materialize from this fight, but still a very dominant performance from Jack Shore. Clinical, technical, solid performance. Then into our next fight, we had in the women's flyweight division, Mccann versus Jeon Kim. And this fight pretty much went just how I expected to go, except Molly Mccann didn't have as much success with her wrestling as I thought she would. And she actually had much more success with her hands than I thought she would. But I still thought she would outstrike her. I see Jeon Kim was a big lurch. She might have that 10-inch reach advantage, but she's a big lurch and she's slow and all this stuff. So Mccann is the cleaner boxer, has his fast hands. Pretty close fight, but I think it was pretty clear that Molly Mccann won once the scorecards were read. I mean, once I went to the scorecards, but ultimately, fight played out kind of how I expected, minus the wrestling. I thought the wrestling would make it even clearer, but she did get 2 takedowns, and that did still the second round for her, but I thought it would be a case that we had to score a takedown, maybe like a takedown a round, or at least a takedown, but as a matter of fact, she did score a takedown in like 2 of the rounds, but not the first round, but I thought it would be more successful is all I'm saying, but not a whole lot to necessarily draw from that. Pretty much everything I saw in that fight was what I saw. And Molly Mccann did make a lot of improvements in her striking defense, head movement. So good things on her. Jeon Kim looked just as she always looked to me, to be honest. So can't draw nothing from Jeon Kim. Molly Mccann looked a little bit better, but overall, ultimately, everything I already knew about those two. Then our next fight, we had Paddy Pimblett versus Luigi Vendramini in the lightweight division. In this fight, Paddy Pimblett went out there and did what he said he was going to do. It didn't go like perfectly. He got rocked. He got taken down. But he's a fighter. That's why I would say about him. He still has all the same flaws. He got bigger. Like he been in the gym getting that super soldier drug. He been working out. I mean, saying he's not no super soldier like physically, but he definitely looked more built. Like he been doing some muscle like working. I mean, strength and conditioning. Like, and he even mentioned he did been showing strength and conditioning. Like even from the last fight, like he got much bigger. So I don't know what he been doing, but he looked bigger this fight. He had more power than he usually had, but still that same fighter like. Same flaws, but he's a fighter. Like with these fight people that have that fighter mentality, especially when they're young, it's like even if they can make mistakes, they're gonna find a way and battle through those mistakes. Like they're gonna have all those flaws, those openings gonna be all there. People won't capitalize on them, but they're gonna be able to like what do you say? The Skozers don't get knocked out. That man went out there, took some good shots, and just battled back. Like he just battled. Like no point did he ever feel discouraged. Just came out, he just fought. Like he's a fighter. He's not a case of guy that's get discouraged when they get caught with something or get knocked out, or well, you can't help getting knocked out. But either way, he went out there. He's a fighter. He's a fighter. Like it might not sound like a lot, but what it means is they're not always gonna be the most technical. They're not gonna be the guy reading the textbook and trying to fight textbook, and they're not gonna be clean or fundamentally clean. But they're gonna fight, and like it's gonna be a little bit hard to predict them unless you go against a higher caliber fighter who can take advantage of those mistakes and work on it. Be defensively sound. I feel like Vendramini has his own flaws as well. It's like I really want to look at this fight. It's two grapplers that were having a striking match, to be honest. But Pimblett did look fast, did look sharp. I mean, as far as offense looks sharp, defensively looks negligent. But yeah, good win for Pimblett. Was able to rally, and we got another exciting talent on the way. But pick that went wrong for me, but I can't really feel too bad about it. Like, because you see it's a lot of unexpected factors with these young guys, and I feel like it didn't really go against anything I said as far as the wrestling. We didn't really see too much. Remember, he got the takedown. He had the control time. Striking, Pimblett had the same flaws, but I don't know. I think I might have said knockout or whatever. I might say submission. I'm forgetting right now, but either way, knockout probably gonna be a little bit hectic. I mean, a little bit hard to pick against a young Pimblett. When you get older, that chin probably gonna start to get worn down, and then those gonna be more than is a 26-year-old, 27-year-old, probably up to his 30s, maybe early 30s. That man probably chin gonna probably be rock hard, but. Expecting the future, but for right now, definitely got a lot of interest on Pimblett, but it all depends on who his opponent is next. But maybe on the lower end, middle end, we can start to see him pile some wins together and start to really evolve. But I feel like he's a guy that's never going to really have tight defense. I feel like that's just his style. He's a fighter, like almost at times like a barroom fighter. He's not so cared on being pretty and all this. So I feel like that's always probably going to be something that's going to be open for him. But yeah, wrong pick, number 3. And then we had in the next fight, Khalil Roundtree Jr. versus Modestas Bukauskas in the light heavyweight division, and how I see this pick right here. Well, I'm acting like I'm predicting right now, but how this pick went was with Khalil Roundtree. Well, let me just say straight with Khalil Roundtree. I think I'm like 0-10 on Khalil Roundtree picks. When I pick Khalil Roundtree, he fights mediocrely. When I pick against Khalil Roundtree, the man comes out here looking like a Greek god, looking like a specimen, like he's ready to make some waves in the division. And like I said, it's been like this pretty much his whole career with me. Like, and I'm not saying like I'm some voodoo. I mean not voodoo, but I'm not saying it's like some what's it called? Like it's some superstitious type of thing, right? It is what it is. I just can't pick Khalil Roundtree. It's not no superstition. Like I'm so connected to Khalil Roundtree that when I pick against him, whatever my picks matter so much how wins his fights go. But he went out there, he looked great. He looked much more composed. But same thing happened. Like I picked him against Eric Anders. I picked Eric Anders against him. Looked like the best performance of his career. Maybe this performance outmatched that. I picked Saki against him. You got a guy that's an MMA striker versus one of the best kickboxers of all time. He knocked Saki out in the first round. You fight what's he for? That guy Marcin Prashnio, guy that's very chinny, terrible defense. Khalil Roundtree had every single advantage. What'd he do? Do punches at the air and look lost. So it's a habit. Like he comes out here when I don't pick him, phenomenal. When I do pick him, less than pedestrian. But came out here put in press performance. But I'm gonna say even though I pick low confidence against Khalil Roundtree because I know it just how it is with my picks with Khalil Roundtree. I just leave it alone. I ain't messing with as far as betting and stuff. But prediction, like it's always gonna be a little bit iffy with Khalil Roundtree because guys are just so inconsistent. Can look like the best or worst fighter on any given night. But so I can't really hold too much against him. And even I can't really say too much for him. I can't say too much against him. Can't say too much for him in this fight because just how he had his amazing performance, like he had against Anders, against Saki, then the next fight looked flat. So until I see him start being consistent, I can't really say what to say for him. Like, is this going to be something we're going to constantly see from him? But amazing performance, typical Khalil Roundtree, as far as consistency, looking phenomenal, then looking pedestrian. But can't say a lot until he starts putting them together. It's like same old Khalil Roundtree until he starts being consistent. As long as he's inconsistent, that's the same old Khalil Roundtree. That's about all I can say for Khalil Roundtree. Modestas Bukauskas is looking like he's about to be outside the UFC. But solid fighter, just can't materialize those wins. That's about it. And then in our next fight, we had in the welterweight division, Alex Morono versus David Zawada. And this fight went just about how it went. It was a close fight, but Morono won clearly with on the more power shot, was more aggressive. Boxing looked a little bit sharper than usual. Footwork looked pretty clean. Saw improvements, but still look, weird looking striker in a way, awkward type fighter. But I pretty much like I was around being Morono. I don't really see him rising the rankings, but he was the better man on the night, and I predict him to win this one. This one, like I said, close fight, but Morono gonna do a little bit more, and then went just how I expected to go. The Water got the one takedown, but what did he really do with it? Nothing. So, fight really went exactly almost how I thought it went. Almost exactly. So can't say too much about it. I think both guys are pretty much the same guys who they were going to the fight. So Zawada's always gonna give people at least a decent outing, a decent test. But that's not gonna keep you around in the UFC. Eventually gonna be out. This might be his last fight in the UFC. Morono's gonna be, good for beating these fading guys or middle to lower end guys. And maybe some stylistic matchups. But I can't really see Alex Morono with his skills really rising up the ranking. But so really for both of these guys, the fight really has said basically the same thing you have said about both of these guys or know about both of these guys going into the fight. So a win for me, exactly perfect prediction, decision, close fight. So as I saw it, but am I super excited about either fighter going for it? Not really. It's just what I've already known. And now to our co-main event, Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Spivak in the heavyweight division. And this fight went, I don't know, I gave Spivak a little bit more credit than I needed to. I picked Aspinall to win. Aspinall went out there and got the win. I'm about to say, I thought he would have to work a little bit more for that, but he just went out there and showed that I'm even better than you think I am, or at least better than I thought he was. I still thought he was a top-notch talent, and when I thought he one of these guys going to change his division up and become a factor in his division, but I thought it would be a fight where we might see a little bit more time for him out there in the cage, but he's like, nah, I'm going to get this guy out here. I don't need to put no more time in here. This guy I've been asking for this guy like 3 times. I got him. I'm going to get him out of here. And he did that. So impressive performance for Aspinall. Spivak, we don't know if he's been improving or it's just that Aspinall that good. I think it's more of a case Aspinall is just that good. As far as Spivak, you can't really take too much from him. Well, obviously he's not a tank. That's one thing you could draw from it. So Aspinall got power, but he's not a guy like Roy Nelson could take a kitchen sink at you. So that's one thing you could say about Spivak, that he's not invincible, and nobody thought that. But either way, I thought he would be able to last a little bit longer and extend Aspinall a little bit longer before Aspinall eventually was able to put him out and I thought like a submission. But either way, I thought Aspinall was clearly the better fighter and clearly one of my more confident picks of the night. But yeah, he got the win and went out there and did what he had to do and did it in impressive fashion. So Aspinall is definitely a one to watch going forward. Now at this point, I was 4-4 going into the main event. Derrick Russ versus Darren Till in the middleweight division. In this one, Darren Till just showed that he's not really improving. Derrick Brunson is making improvements. I think more so fight IQ wise, he's making improvements. But as far as like actual evolution in skills, I feel like he's still pretty much the same fighter as far as skill wise. It's that he's fighting smarter now later in his years. Darren Till, I feel like this just showed like karma in a way. Like this guy been talking about that one Gastelum win and that one close loss to Whitaker, and I feel like he was a little bit too overconfident in himself. Came out here and Derrick Brunson just took advantage of him. He has little opportunities on the feet, but take down the fence and take down, like, I don't know, going for submissions, going for knees. And it's a weirdness, like, especially after being controlled on the ground for, like, a round. Like, you would think you'd be more keen to want to value defending the submission instead of trying to look for opportunities. Stop trying to look for that guillotine. Stop trying to look for a knee. Just work on getting those underhooks, getting your back off the cage, and stuffing the takedown. And then once he starts wearing down, you start to keep touching him. And then you go for the finish and those more spectacular things instead of trying to do that early on while you got a fresh fighter, a fresh wrestler, and your wrestling defense isn't that great, and your grappling isn't that great, and your get-up ability isn't that great. You would think that you would focus more on just fighting smart, but Darren Till's still a young guy, still not really making improvements, and still a little bit too high on himself, probably visualizing that he's supposed to be this and supposed to be that and going to be this and going to be that, instead of actually doing the work or, you know, making those decisions at the time to be the person that does that two-weight champion, or even a champion, a one belt, or even a two-time title challenger. Because right now it's like he could probably even struggle to get another title shot right now, but we shall see. He's still a young guy and he's still sub 30, so still got a future ahead of him. But definitely this fight is a wake-up call for him, just like it was for Holland and just like it was for Shabazian. And it's a shame that Till needs so many wake-up calls, but if you still got to fight in him, you just gotta make those improvements. But yeah, I'm actually cool. I'm not saying I'm cool with Brunson. Brunson don't know me, even though he did follow me on both my Twitter accounts at one point. But it is what it is. But I'm gonna say I'm not cool with Derrick Brunson, but I do like Derrick Brunson as a fighter and as a person. So he's a cool dude. So I'm always excited. I didn't pick him, but I'm glad he got the win. Glad he's on his winning streak. But I will say one thing for Derrick Brunson, like I said, I already say he's not making no big necessarily skill improvements, but he's making smarter decisions out there, fighting smarter on Derrick Brunson. So Till got to really get off his high horse and get off that ego and work, put in the work so he can be like his friend Tom Aspinall. Brunson, I mean, he's going to keep knowing he's going to do pile some wins up and keep putting those wins together. But as far as against like Whitaker and Adesanya, I think he might have a decent shot against Whitaker, a decent shot. Do I think he has a winning shot against Whitaker? No, but I think he definitely could do better than he did the first fight, maybe. But against Adesanya, I think it's gonna be more of the same. Adesanya's takedown defense is much better than Till, and even though Adesanya is the one with the belt, the belt, and the one with the fame and actual good legacy and doing stuff unlike Till is. Like Till thinks he's doing stuff, but Adesanya is actually a champion, actually defending belt and stuff. He's still making those right improvements, and that's why he is in the position he is. And where I'm going with this is that Adesanya's grappling has got a lot better. His wrestling has got a lot better defensively and offensively, even though we don't really see it offensively, has got a lot better. And he just overall has gotten a lot better. And it's like Brunson has gotten better. He's just thinking smarter. And like the striking gap is still huge. There's still the opening in Brunson. And I think Adesanya should still do a good job of defending takedowns. If he gets down, take it down, he'll be able to handle himself, get back to his feet. And I think be able to pick apart Brunson and probably be similar fashion to the first fight. So not really a whole lot to say as far as Brunson going forward, title shot wise or championship wise, as far as against Adesanya or even Whitaker. But against everybody else, for the most part, I think he can do very well and continue to put up wins. But if he gets that title shot, I see more of the same. But that's my critiques and thoughts for this card right here. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.